Antarctica. Just saying the name sends chills down your spine, doesn't it? It's the coldest, most brutal place on our planet. We're talking temperatures that drop to minus 80 degrees Celsius, winds that howl at over 200 miles per hour, and during winter, the sun just disappears for months, leaving everything in pitch-black darkness. This place doesn't want us there. It's like nature's way of saying stay away. But you know what? Humans have never been good at taking that advice. For over 100 years, we've been drawn to this frozen wasteland. Why? Maybe it's curiosity. Maybe it's the challenge. Or maybe we just need to know what's out there at the very edge of the world. Today I'm going to share 3 incredible stories from Antarctica. Stories that'll make you wonder what humans are really capable of when everything's on the line. First, there's the story of 28 men who got trapped in the ice for almost 2 years. No rescue team, no way out, just them and the endless frozen ocean. Then we've got this bizarre mystery about a glacier that literally bleeds red. Scientists couldn't figure it out for decades. And finally, there's this Soviet doctor who had to do something absolutely insane. He had to cut himself open and remove his own appendix. Yeah, you heard that right. His own appendix. With his own hands. 3 stories, 1 frozen continent, and more courage than you can imagine. Let's dive in. Story 1. The Men Who Wouldn't Die. So picture this. It's August 1914. London's buzzing with tension because war's about to break out across Europe. The Archduke's been killed in Sarajevo, and everyone knows things are about to get ugly. But there's this one guy, Onis Shackleton, and is not worried about the war. He's got his eyes on something bigger. Antarctica. Shackleton's 40 years old and has already been to Antarctica twice before. He got really close to the South Pole, but this Norwegian guy, Roald Amundsen, beat him to it in 1911. That must have stung. So Shackleton decides he's going to do something even crazier. He wants to cross the entire Antarctic continent on foot. We're talking 1,800 miles of nothing but ice and snow. Nobody's ever done it before. Legend has it he put an ad in the newspaper that said something like, "Men wanted for hazardous journey. Small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return doubtful, honor and recognition in case of success." Whether that ad's real or not, it captures what he was asking for perfectly. And you know what? 5,000 men applied. 5,000. He picked 27 of them. Young guys, old guys, scientists, sailors, carpenters, photographers. A real mixed bag. Their ship was called the Endurance. Pretty fitting name, right? It came from Shackleton's family motto, "By endurance we conquer." They had no idea how much they'd need to live up to that name. December 5th, 1914. The Endurance set sail from South Georgia Island. That's basically the last stop before you hit the real ice. The guys are pumped. They are joking around, playing cards, dreaming about making history. But something's not right. The ice is way thicker than it should be. The Antarctic summer had been unusually cold that year, so the ice that normally breaks up just stayed solid. By January 18th, 1915, just 6 weeks after leaving, the Endurance gets stuck, completely frozen in place. Now, at first, this isn't panic mode. Ships get stuck in ice all the time. You just wait for it to break up, and then you sail away. Easy. Except the ice doesn't break up. January turns into February. February into March. Summer ends. Winter's coming. And the ice? It starts squeezing. Imagine being on that ship. You're hundreds of miles from any other human being. You can't radio for help because the technology isn't there yet. No planes, no helicopters, no GPS. Nothing. And every single day, you hear your ship slowly dying. The ice doesn't just sit there. It grips the ship like a vice. The pressure is insane. Thousands of tons crushing in from all sides. The crew hears the wooden beams cracking. They watch the deck start to buckle. The sides of the ship begin caving in. One of the crew members, Frank Wild, wrote about it. He said it felt sickening to feel the decks breaking up under your feet, with these massive beams snapping like gunshots. October 27th, 1915. 10 months stuck in the ice. Shackleton knows it's over. He gives the order that nobody wants to hear: abandon ship. 28 men step off the Endurance onto the ice. They grab what they can: supplies, lifeboats, their sled dogs, and they watch their ship, their home, their only protection, slowly get crushed to death. November 21st, 1915. The Endurance finally gives up. The ice crushes it completely and it sinks beneath the surface. Now they are really alone. 28 men standing on a sheet of ice in the middle of the coldest ocean on Earth. Nobody knows they are in trouble. Nobody's coming to save them. So what do you do in a situation like that? If you're Shackleton, you make a plan. The ice they are standing on is drifting slowly, pushed by ocean currents and wind. Shackleton figures if they stay on the ice, eventually it'll drift close enough to land that they can make a break for it. So they wait. They set up camp right there on the ice. They pitch tents. They ration their food super carefully. They hunt seals and penguins for fresh meat. One guy, Thomas Audleys, wrote in his diary, "We are living like castaways on a raft. Only our raft is made of ice, and it's melting beneath us." Think about that. The ice under them isn't solid ground. It's moving, shifting, cracking open without warning. Guys would wake up to find their tent literally splitting in half as the ice broke beneath them. The temperature drops to -20, -30, -40 degrees. Frostbite becomes a daily reality. Their clothes freeze solid on their bodies. They are sleeping in wet sleeping bags that never dry out. And through all of this, Shackleton keeps everyone's spirits up. He cracks jokes. He organizes games and competitions. He makes sure the guys who are struggling get extra food, even if it means giving up his own rations. Frank Wilde remembered that Shackleton's cheerfulness never failed. He was the life of the party even in the worst moments. But Shackleton knows they can't stay on the ice forever. April 9th, 1916. They've been camping on the ice for 5 months now. The ice floe beneath them is shrinking, breaking apart. Soon there won't be anything left to stand on. Shackleton makes a call. They're going to march across the ice, dragging their lifeboats with them, trying to reach open water. It's brutal. The boats weigh over a ton each. The ice is jagged and broken, piled up into these massive ridges taller than houses. They are lucky if they make a mile in a day. After a week, they've only gone 7 miles. 7 miles. Shackleton realizes it's hopeless. The ice is too rough. The men are too exhausted. So they stop, set up camp again on an even smaller piece of ice, and keep waiting. April 15th, 1916. The ice beneath them finally breaks apart completely. Time to launch the boats. 28 men cram into 3 tiny lifeboats and start rowing through a maze of ice and freezing water. For 7 days straight, they row. The boats leak constantly. The guys are bailing water with anything they can find. If they stop for even a minute, the boat will fill up and sink. They are soaked to the bone. Their clothes freeze solid. Ice forms on their beards and eyebrows. Some guys can barely move anymore. And then, on April 15th, 5 months after their ship sank, they see it. Land. Elephant Island. It's not much. Just a desolate, rocky island with no trees, no animals except seals and penguins. But it's solid ground. For the first time in 497 days, these men set foot on land. Some of them actually kiss the stones. But here's the thing. They are on land, they are alive, but they are not safe. Elephant Island is completely uninhabited. No ships pass by there. Nobody knows they are there. If they stay, they'll eventually starve to death. Shackleton gathers his closest guys and shows them a map. The nearest civilization is South Georgia Island, the whaling station where they started from. It's 800 miles away, across the Southern Ocean, which is literally the most violent, storm-ravaged ocean on the entire planet. And they'll have to sail there in a lifeboat. A 22-foot open boat called the James Caird, built for rowing in calm waters, not sailing through massive storms. Shackleton picks 5 men to come with him. Frank Worsley, who's an incredible navigator. Tom Crean, tough as nails. Harry McNish, the carpenter. Timothy McCarthy and John Vincent, both strong sailors. The other 22 men stay on Elephant Island under Frank Wilde's command. They'll wait for Shackleton to reach South Georgia, find help, and come back. If he comes back, April 24th, 1916. The James Caird launches. 6 men in a 22-foot boat heading into 800 miles of the worst ocean on Earth. Nobody's ever crossed the Southern Ocean in a boat this small. Nobody thinks they'll survive. Within hours, they hit their first storm. We're talking 60-foot waves. Winds over 100 miles per hour. The boat gets tossed around like a toy. Water pours over the sides constantly. They are bailing with buckets, with their bare hands. If they stop, they sink. They are soaked, freezing. Their clothes freeze solid on their bodies. Ice builds up on the boat, making it heavier and heavier. Every few hours they have to chip away the ice or they'll capsize. Their hands turn black with frostbite. Their faces are raw and cracked. Their eyes are so swollen from the salt water they can barely see. They are eating cold, soggy biscuits and drinking tiny rations of water. Some of them start hallucinating. And through all of this, Frank Worsley is navigating. Every day when the sun peeks through the clouds for a few minutes, he takes a reading with his sextant and calculates their position. If it's off by even a couple degrees, they'll miss South Georgia entirely and sail right past it into the empty Atlantic. And that's it. Game over. For 16 days, they sail. May 10th, 1916. Through their salt-crusted eyes, they see it. Land. South Georgia Island. Worsley did it. He navigated them across 800 miles of the most treacherous ocean on Earth in a tiny lifeboat using nothing but a sextant and incredible skill. But they are not done yet. They've landed on the wrong side of the island. The whaling stations are on the opposite coast, and between them and rescue is 30 miles of mountains. Peaks that go up 9,000 feet. Glacier. Crevasses deep enough to swallow you whole. Nobody's ever crossed the interior of South Georgia Island before. It's supposed to be impossible. Shackletoe looks at his men. They are broken, exhausted, barely alive. But he makes a decision. He's going to cross those mountains. May 19th, 1916. Shackletoe, Worsley, and Tom Crean set out. They leave the other 3 behind because they are too weak to travel. They are carrying almost nothing. A rope, a carpenter's tool to use as an ice axe, a little food. That's it. For 36 hours straight, they climb. No sleep, no rest. If they stop, they'll freeze to death. They're climbing glacier, edging around crevasses, scrambling up ice walls. At one point, they get trapped on a ridge as darkness falls. The only way down is this steep ice slope that disappears into fog below. They have no idea if it's 50 feet down or 500 feet. They don't know if there's a cliff at the bottom. Shackletoe makes a call. They call up the rope, sit down together, lock arms, and just go for it. They slide. For 900 feet, they are plummeting down this ice slope in complete darkness. They hit the bottom. Miraculously, they are alive. Not seriously hurt. And they keep going. May 20th, 1916. 7 in the morning. 3 figures show up at the Stromness whaling station. The workers just stay. These men are unrecognizable. Bearded, filthy. Their clothes are in tatters. They smell terrible. They walk into the station manager's office and one of them says, "My name is Shackletoe." The manager just stays. Owner Shackletoe is supposed to be dead. Everyone thought the Endurance expedition was lost over a year ago. "When did you leave South Georgia?" he asks. 16 months ago. Within hours, Shackletoe organizes a rescue for the 3 men he left on the other side of the island. They are picked up, all alive, but there are still 22 men on Elephant Island. Shackletoe tries to reach them. Once, ice is too thick. Twice, can't get through. 3 times, still can't make it. Is going crazy with worry. It's been months. His men could be dead by now. Finally, on his 4th attempt, aboard a borrowed Chilean ship, August 30th, 1916, they break through the ice. Shackletoe standing on deck with binoculars, scanning Elephant Island, looking for any sign of life. Then he sees them, figures on the beach, waving. He counts. 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, 22. Every single man is alive. Frank Wild wrote later, "We had given up hope, but Shackletoe had not given up on us." After 634 days, after their ship was crushed, after living on ice floes, after sailing across the Southern Ocean, after crossing an uncharted mountain range, After 4 months on a desolate island, all 28 men came home. Not a single life lost. It's still one of the greatest survival stories in human history. Story 2. The Bleeding Glacier. Shackletow's story is about endurance and leadership and never giving up. But Antarctica's got other stories too. Weird ones. Scientific mysteries that seem impossible. Like a glacier that bleeds. Same year Amundsen reached the South Pole. Antarctica is being explored and mapped like crazy. Scientists and adventurers are documenting everything they find. There's this Australian geologist, Griffith Taylor, exploring an area called the McMurdo Dry Valleys. This place is bizarre. It's so dry and so cold that no snow even falls there. It's like a frozen desert. Looks more like Mars than Earth. Taylor's hiking along a glacier when he sees something that stops him dead in his tracks. Red liquid, pouring down the face of the glacier. Bright red, staining the white ice. It looks exactly like blood. He names it Blood Falls. Pretty straightforward. In his journal he wrote, "A strange sight greeted us. A cascade of what appeared to be blood, flowing from the heart of the glacier. The sight was both beautiful and deeply unsettling." He takes samples, makes notes, snaps some photos. But he can't explain it. What could possibly make a glacier bleed? For decades, Blood Falls is just this weird mystery. Early theories say maybe it's algae. Red algae living in the ice, turning the water red. But tests prove that's wrong. Other people think maybe it's minerals. Iron deposits in the rock leaching into the water. That's closer, but still not quite right. The mystery gets weirder because Blood Falls doesn't flow all the time. Sometimes there's a steady stream. Other times, nothing for months. What's going on under that ice? Scientists are stumped. The technology in the early 1900s just isn't good enough to see through hundreds of feet of solid ice. So Blood Falls stays mysterious. A bleeding glacier, an unexplained phenomenon, a puzzle waiting to be solved. Fast forward to the 21st century. Modern scientists come back to Blood Falls with equipment Taylor couldn't have dreamed of. They've got ground-penetrating radar. They are drilling core samples from deep inside the glacier. They are analyzing the water chemistry in incredible detail. Electron microscopes, mass spectrometers, genetic sequencing equipment. The works. Teams of geologists, microbiologists, glaciologists working together. They are determined to solve this century-old mystery. And slowly, piece by piece, they figure it out. And what they find is even stranger than anyone imagined. Underneath Taylor Glacier, trapped under 1,300 feet of ice, there's a lake. A saltwater lake. And it's been sealed off from the rest of the world for over 1.5 million years. No sunlight reaches it. No oxygen from the atmosphere. No contact with the surface at all. It's one of the most isolated bodies of water on Earth. Think about that for a second. While humans were evolving, while ice ages came and went, while entire civilizations rose and fell, this lake just sat there, trapped, hidden, waiting. The lake's maybe a few square kilometers across, but it's deep, very deep, and it's full of secrets. The water in this hidden lake is loaded with iron, dissolved iron that's been leaching out of the bedrock for millions of years. The lake's also incredibly salty, 3 times saltier than regular seawater. That's why it doesn't freeze even though the temperature is way below zero. Every once in a while, pressure builds up under the glacier. Water from the lake finds cracks and fissures in the ice above it. It seeps upward. Slowly, over months or years, it travels through the glacier. And when it finally reaches the surface, when that iron-rich water touches oxygen in the air for the first time in millions of years, something happens. The iron reacts with oxygen. It oxidizes. In plain English, it rusts. Blood Falls isn't blood at all. It's rust. Ancient iron, trapped under ice for over 1 million years, finally touching air and turning the water blood red. Mystery solved, right? But that's not even the craziest part. When scientists analyzed the water from that hidden lake, they found something alive. Microbes, bacteria, living organisms. These microbes have been trapped under the ice for potentially millions of years. No sunlight, no oxygen, no connection to the outside world. So how are they surviving? Most life on Earth depends on photosynthesis. Plants use sunlight to make energy. Animals eat plants or other animals. Simple, but these microbes can't do that. There's no sunlight down there, nothing to eat in the normal sense. So they evolved a completely different way of living. They survive on iron and sulfur. They do chemosynthesis instead of photosynthesis. They create energy from chemical reactions, not sunlight. They metabolize iron from the rocks. They process sulfur compounds. They live in water so salty it would instantly kill most other living things. They've adapted to conditions that seem absolutely impossible for life. And they've been doing it longer than modern humans have even existed. This discovery changed everything. For decades, scientists thought life needed certain conditions: sunlight, oxygen, reasonable temperatures, fresh water. The microbes under blood falls proved all of that wrong. Life can exist in the most extreme environments imaginable, sealed away from the sun, frozen in darkness, thriving on chemicals alone. And this gave scientists hope. Real hope that life might exist in similar environments elsewhere in the solar system. Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, has an ocean under its ice. An ocean that's been sealed away from sunlight for billions of years. Enceladus, orbiting Saturn, also has water under its surface. You can actually see geysers of liquid water shooting out from cracks in its icy crust. If life can survive under Antarctic ice for millions of years, maybe it can survive under the ice of an alien moon. Maybe we're not alone. Maybe life is way more common and resilient and adaptable than we ever thought possible. Today, blood falls is still flowing. Scientists are still studying it. Every sample reveals something new. New species of microbes, new chemical processes, new insights into how life adapts and survives. The glacier that bleeds has become a living laboratory, a window into Earth's deep past, and maybe a preview of life on other worlds. Griffith Taylor never could have imagined what his discovery would mean. That strange red stain on white ice, that unsettling cascade. It turned out to be one of the most important discoveries in Antarctic science. Blood falls, mystery solved, but it opened the door to 1,000 new questions. Story 3. The man who cut himself open. So we've talked about survival. We've talked about weird science. Now let's talk about something that'll make you squirm. Sometimes survival requires more than just waiting it out or adapting. Sometimes you have to become your own hero, even if it means doing something absolutely horrifying. The Cold War is in full swing. The Soviet Union and the United States are competing for everything. Space, military power, influence, you name it. Antarctica becomes part of this strategic chess game. The Soviets set up research stations all across the continent. One of them is called Novolazarevskaya Station. It's harsh, really harsh. 6 men stationed there for the entire Antarctic winter. That means 6 months of darkness. Temperatures dropping to -40 degrees Celsius. And here's the kicker. Once winter sets in, you're cut off. Completely. No planes can land because the ice is too unstable and the storms are too fierce. If something goes wrong, you're on your own. Dr. Leonid Rogozov is 27 years old. He's the station's only doctor. He's responsible for keeping everyone healthy. Frostbite, injuries, illness, whatever happens, he's the guy who has to deal with it. He's young, confident, capable, but nothing could prepare him for what's about to happen. April 29th, 1961. Rogozov wakes up not feeling great. There's this pain in his abdomen. Right side, low down. He's a doctor. He immediately knows what this might be. Appendicitis. Your appendix is this small tube-like thing attached to your intestine. Normally it just sits there doing nothing. But sometimes it gets infected and inflamed. And if it bursts, you die. Simple as that. Rogozov examines himself. The pain's getting worse. His temperature's rising. He's got chills, nausea, all the classic signs. He tries treating it with antibiotics, ice packs, rest. But over the next 24 hours, the pain intensifies. His appendix is inflamed. It's probably close to rupturing. He calls a meeting with the other guys on the base. He explains the situation clearly. If his appendix bursts, the infection will spread throughout his abdomen. Peritonitis, septic shock. He'll be dead within days, maybe hours. One of the guys asks, "Can we call for help? Get a plane? A ship?" "No," Rogozov says. "The weather's too bad. Nobody can reach us for weeks, maybe months. There are no other doctors on the base. Nobody else with surgical training. Rogozov is the only one who can perform the operation. And here's the patient. Let that really sink in. You're trapped at the bottom of the world. You've got a condition that will kill you in a matter of days. You're the only surgeon around. And the only way to survive is to cut yourself open and remove your own appendix. With your own hands. While you're awake, Rogozov knows what he has to do. He gathers the other men and gives them instructions. I'll need help. You'll hold instruments. Adjust the lamp. Hand me supplies. But I have to do the actual surgery myself. These guys are mechanics, scientists, not medical professionals. They've never even seen a surgery before. And now they are about to assist in one of the most dangerous operations imaginable. Rogozov doesn't have a choice, though. If he does nothing, he dies. If he operates and makes a mistake, he dies. But at least if he operates, there's a chance. He spends the evening mentally preparing, going over the procedure in his mind. Every cut, every stitch, every possible complication. He knows that once he starts, he can't stop. He'll be cutting into his own body, feeling his own organs, literally holding his own life in his hands. May 1st, 1961. Evening. Rogozov sets up a makeshift operating room. Table, surgical instruments all sterilized and laid out, bright lamps overhead. He's got local anesthetic, but not much. He can't knock himself out with general anesthesia because if he loses consciousness, that's it. He's done. He has to stay awake, alert. He has to operate on himself while fully conscious. He sets up a mirror so he can see his own abdomen. He picks out his instruments. Scalpel, forceps, clamps, sutures. He injects himself with local anesthetic around where his appendix is. The anesthetic will help with the pain, but it won't eliminate it. And it definitely won't help with the psychological horror of what he's about to do. He assigns jobs to the other guys. One holds the mirror. One hands him instruments. One adjusts the lamp. One monitors his vital signs. They are terrified. You can see it on their faces. But they are ready to help. Rogozov lies back on the table, takes a deep breath, and picks up the scalpel. The first cut is the hardest. He positions the scalpel against his own skin, lower right abdomen. He presses down. The blade cuts through skin, through fat, through muscle. He's cutting into himself. The anesthetic helps, but he can still feel it. Pressure, tugging, the weird sensation of tissue parting. He works slowly and carefully. He can't afford to make a single mistake. One wrong cut and he could sever an artery, puncture his intestines, cause damage he can't fix. He's using the mirror to see what he's doing, but the image is reversed. Everything's backward. He has to constantly adjust, compensate, think in mirror image. Blood wells up from the incision. One of the assistants dabs it away with gauze. Rogozov cuts deeper. 10 minutes into the surgery, there's a problem. The local anesthetic isn't enough. As he cuts deeper, he starts feeling real pain. His hands start shaking. He's sweating. His heart's pounding. He's operating on himself, cutting into his own organs. And he can feel every second of it. Nausea hits him in waves. He has to stop and take deep breaths. Fight the urge to throw up. If he passes out now, it's over. The assistants are watching helplessly. They don't know what to do. One asks if they should stop. Rogozov shakes his head. No, we continue. He takes another breath, steadies his hands, keeps cutting. He reaches the peritoneum, the membrane lining his abdominal cavity. He makes a careful incision. Now he's literally inside his own abdomen. He reaches in with his fingers, feeling around, searching. He can feel his intestines. Warm, slippery, pulsing with life. It's surreal, horrifying. He's touching his own organs. He's searching for the appendix. It should be right there, attached to the cecum at the beginning of the large intestine. But he can't find it. He searches again. His vision's blurring. He's getting weaker. 15 minutes have passed. 20. Every second is open like this. The risk of infection goes up. Finally, he feels it. The appendix. It's swollen, inflamed, covered in pus. It's right on the verge of rupturing. If it bites inside him right now, he'll die on this table. He has to remove it immediately. Rogozov clamps the base of the appendix, cuts the blood supply. Then, very carefully, he cuts the appendix free. He lifts it out of his own body. For a moment, he just holds it, this small piece of tissue that nearly killed him. Then he hands it to one of the assistants. But is not done. He has to close the wound where the appendix was attached. Make sure there's no leakage, no contamination. He stitches carefully and precisely. His hands are shaking badly now. He's been operating for over 30 minutes. He's exhausted, in pain, on the edge of collapse. But he keeps going. Now he starts closing the incision. Layer by layer. He stitches the peritoneum, then the muscle, then the fat and skin. Each stitch is agony. The anesthetic's worn off almost completely. He feels everything, but he doesn't stop. 4 to 5 minutes after making the first cut, he ties the final stitch. It's done. The operation's complete. He's removed his own appendix, and is still alive. He instructs the men to clean and bandage the wound. Then he lets himself collapse. They give him antibiotics, painkillers, fluids. He lies in bed, completely exhausted. For the next few days, he drifts in and out of consciousness. Fever, chills, pain. But slowly, he starts to recover. The wound doesn't get infected. His body begins healing itself. 5 days after the surgery, he can sit up. A week later, he's back on his feet. 2 weeks later, he's back to work, continuing his duties as the station's doctor for the rest of the winter. When Rogozov finally leaves Antarctica months later, the world hears about what he did. The story spreads like wildfire. A Soviet doctor trapped at the bottom of the world performed surgery on himself and survived. It becomes one of the most incredible medical stories of the 20th century. Rogozov gets awarded the Order of the Red Banner of Labor, one of the highest honors in the Soviet Union. He's a hero, but Rogozov himself is pretty modest about the whole thing. I had no choice, he says. It was either that or die. Leonid Rogozov lived for another 39 years. He kept working as a surgeon. He never talked much about what happened in Antarctica. He died in 2000 at age 66. But his story lives on. It's a testament to human courage, to the will to survive, to what people are capable of when they are pushed beyond every conceivable limit. So there you have it. 3 stories from the frozen continent. Ernest Shackleton and his 27 men, surviving nearly 2 years in the most hostile environment on Earth, and every single one of them making it home alive. Blood Falls, the glacier that bleeds, a mystery that baffled scientists for a century and ended up revealing life in the most extreme conditions we've ever found. And Leonid Rogozov, the doctor who became his own surgeon, who faced death head-on and chose to fight, even if it meant cutting into his own body. 3 completely different stories, but they all share something fundamental. They're about what happens when humans get pushed to the absolute limit, when survival seems impossible, when the odds are completely stacked against you, when every rational voice is screaming at you to give up. These stories are about the people who don't give up, who find a way forward, who endure. Antarctica is a place of extremes. Extreme cold, extreme isolation, extreme danger. But it's also a place that reveals something really profound about the human spirit. That we're capable of way more than we think we are. That courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about continuing anyway. That survival isn't just about physical strength. It's about mental will. Shackleton could have given up when the Endurance sank, but he didn't. The microbes under Blood Falls could have died when they got sealed away from the sun, but they didn't. Rogozov could have just accepted his fate when his appendix got inflamed. But he didn't. They all chose to fight. They all chose to survive. And in doing so, they showed us what humans are really made of. Shackleton's motto was, "By endurance we conquer." He proved it. On the ice, in the storms, in those darkest moments when hope seemed completely lost. The microbes under Blood Falls have their own kind of endurance. Silent, invisible, lasting millions of years in total darkness. And Rogozov showed yet another kind of endurance. The endurance to do what absolutely must be done, no matter how terrifying, no matter how painful. These are Antarctica's lessons. The continent doesn't forgive mistakes. It doesn't offer compromises. It shows you exactly who you are when everything else gets stripped away. When there's no help coming, no easy way out, no safety net. When it's just you and the ice and the wind and the darkness. What do? Do you give up? Or do you endure? Shackleton endured. The microbes endured. Rogozov endured. And they all survived to tell the tale. Today, over a century after Shackleton's expedition, the Endurance has actually been found. In March 2022, explorers using underwater drones discovered the wreck at the bottom of the Weddell Sea, 10,000 feet down. It's amazingly well preserved. The cold water kept it almost intact. You can still see the name on the stern. Endurance. Bloodfall still flows in the dry valleys. Scientists still study it, still learn new things from it. And Rogozov's surgical instruments are in a museum in St. Petersburg now. Artifacts of an impossible operation. These stories aren't just history. They are lessons about courage, about resilience, about the incredible capacity of the human spirit. They remind us that no matter how impossible the situation seems, no matter how dire things get, humans have this extraordinary ability to survive, to adapt, to overcome, to endure. Antarctica's still there, still frozen, still hostile, still waiting. New explorers go there every year. Scientists studying climate change, adventurers pushing their limits, people looking for answers to questions we haven't even thought of yet. And the continent keeps teaching us about our planet, about life, about ourselves. Because Antarctica doesn't lie to you. It doesn't offer false comfort. It shows you exactly what you're made of. And sometimes, what it shows you is extraordinary. 28 men who refused to die. A glacier hiding life in the darkness. A surgeon who saved himself with his own hands. 3 stories. 1 continent. Infinite courage. This is Antarctica. This is what humans can do. This is what we're capable of when we absolutely refuse to give up. By endurance, we conquer.